Hey everybody, this is Steve at the Worley Fly Company, and today I am going to show you how to tie this tungsten jig leech. So we have really good lake fishing throughout central Washington for a variety of different species, and this fly tied in various colors and sizes will accomplish your catch tasks for whatever species of fish you happen to be going after. This is a relatively pretty simple fly to put together. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, but you have to remember flies don't have to be complicated in order to be productive. So hang in there and we'll put this Simi-Seal Squirrel Leech together and show you how to do it. Okay, so let's get going here, and we'll start tying this Simi-Seal Jig Leech. So the first thing that you're going to need, of course, is a jig hook, and I am putting in the vise now a Hannock 400 BL size 8 barbless. It's a little bit heavier jig hook, so good for this style of flies, but you can use whatever brand that you like. This is a competition style jig hook for designed for check nymphing, but like I said, you can use whatever brand that you prefer. This is a good brand, of course. So you're gonna want to start some red thread behind your slotted bead, and this is a black tungsten 3/16 heavy, so big bead on there, lots of weight, tungsten slotted. So in case you don't know, tungsten is twice as heavy as brass, so we're going to build a little bit of a thread dam back behind that and keep the bead in place, and then of course build a good foundation down the shank here. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is get your squirrel strip. These are great. These are pine squirrel strips. They're nice, they're thin, they're lightweight, easy to throw, and you want to do a measurement. So you want this about twice as long as the hook shank. If you make it any longer than that, you tend to get a lot of short strikes from fish, trout and bass both. So try to keep that tail at a reasonable length. So go ahead and bind that down. To the shank. Get it nice and tight where it's not going to move. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to need to do is have a dubbing loop spinner or a dubbing loop tool, something that you can spin a dubbing loop with. So create a dubbing loop, and this is kind of the beauty of Simi-Seal Dubbing, John Rohmer's design from Crescent Lake. John's real famous for his Simi-Seal leeches and his Simi-Seal dubbing, and this is by far one of our most popular dubbings that we sell in the pro shop here at the Worley Bugger. And we send tons of it out all over the place, all across the country. So really super popular, but it really excels in dubbing loops, and you're going to see why. So just take, and you're going to need about 5 or 6 shanks of dubbing. If you just kind of take it and ply it in your hand, kind of flatten it out, start putting it in your loop there. And then once you get it in your loop, you can pull down on your thread, get your dubbing in place there where you're ready to spin it and create your dubbing rope. You can see what happens. Forms your body material here. So you can see it's kind of lumpy in places. There's a great little tool here, is this little finger brush that Hairline puts out. It's pretty inexpensive and it does a great job of pulling all that fine dubbing out that never got trapped in between the thread. It also works great for under fur, you know, like in deer hair or elk hair or any other type of under fur that you need to get out. So you can brush that out until you get a dubbing rope that looks something like this. And then what I like to do is just make a couple of loops right around that thread there where we connected it, just to kind of hide it. Might as well build a aesthetically pleasing looking fly. So if you can cover up that thread, that's all the better, and hide it. And I don't think the fish are going to care, but as a fly tire, you will. So just start winding this forward, and as you're winding, you can see I'm trying to not to trap these fine fibers underneath each wrap. So each wrap that you pull forward, just kind of pull it back on itself and wind one right in front of the other, and you'll see your body starting to form. And the beauty of Simi-Seal dubbing and Simi-Seal leeches. When you get to the end there, you can kind of tie that off. You'll have that excess thread there that you can snip out and get it out of your fly from your dubbing loop. And then just make a couple of thread wraps there behind your eye to tighten it all down. So then you can take this brush again and start brushing it through. And that just kind of untraps all those fibers that you might have gotten. Just kind of pulls them all out, lengthens all those fibers out, and creates your body. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to pull this squirrel strip right over the top, and you want to kind of, again, you want to trap that hair. You want to be able to utilize that in your fly. That's going to give your fly some motion and some breathing, which is going to you know, attract more fish to it. So try to keep from pulling that hair underneath your thread, and tighten that strip down over the top, and then trim away the excess. And again, make a couple more thread wraps and tighten it down. Throw a half hitch in there just to keep it all bound nice and tight. Okay, so we're going to add just a little bit of flash to this fly. It doesn't need a ton because the dubbing itself already has some flash built into it. But we're going to add just a real small piece of pearl flashabou on the top here. And then we're going to also add this piece of, it's called cranberry. It's kind of blood colored looking. Blends really nice with this color of fly. And you could tie this fly in a variety of different colors and sizes. But black and red is definitely a good choice to go with for fishing in central Washington, still waters or rivers. So you want that about the same length as your tail there. And it's going to add just a little bit of movement, a little bit of flash, especially if you're fishing it down deep on a full sinking line or a sink tip. It's going to add just a little bit more movement, a little bit of flash as you're stripping it or jigging it, however, whatever style of fishing you're going to do with it. So the next thing that we're going to do is we have all this big thread base where we've been building our fly behind the back of the eye here. Just going to take and cover this up. Again, the fish probably aren't really going to care so much about that, but as fly tiers, we just we get a little particular and want to, of course, build a fly that looks good. So we'll just put a little bit more Simi-Seal Dubbing on there and wrap that around. Until we've covered all that kind of extra thread in there. And then you can half hitch or whip finish, whichever you prefer. Make a couple behind that bead and then cut it off. Then we can take our brush we can finish brushing it out. And there is your tungsten jig Simi-Seal Squirrel Leech. Real easy to put together. Doesn't take long, but remember, flies don't have to take you a long time or be complicated to be super effective, and this is a great one in central Washington lakes and rivers for trout or any type of warm water species of fish that you might want to fish for, tied in black, red, or a variety of different colors.